So how are you going to monitor that thing to make sure that?
No, I just want to know which slide you are reading on.
Oh, it is the recommendations on 9.
Okay.
Yes. So I just want to know, how are they going to do that? Because if you look at the findings that was made, it was inside jobs when it came to the corruption and the fraud. Then my second thing that I also want to understand, the enhancement of money, mobile and cash send verifications. I would like to know how they're going to do that, because I was in ShopRite one day. I met this gentleman and the lady. The gentleman came to me very upset, saying, you know what? I forgot my ID in Koffiefontein. He was in Bloemfontein. And I had something like 6 months that was outstanding. When I finally got the money to travel to Koffiefontein to go get my ID, I came back and I only received 2 months of money. And I lent the money to go and get my ID. So what happened to the 4 months? Because you cannot skip for 4 months and then suddenly you get 2 months money. So someone was getting the money for that 4 months. And when he went there, he only got the 2 months money. I want to know, how are they going to do it with the mobile money that was cash send verification? How are you going to ensure the right people are going to get those money? And then also I would like to know about the website, the public awareness of this website, because people just see HTTPS, SASSA, when they see that, they think that is the right website, and they just will click in their things to say, here's my ID number, here's my phone number, and that is how people are being scammed. So I want to know, what are you going to do about this website that is illegal there? Are you going to pursue legal action? What are you going to do? Because our people don't understand these things, and it is something that is very difficult sometimes to explain to people. And then the other thing I would like to know, Chairperson, is that the misleading and false information, just by the impact on identity unofficials. I just want to know is that you go there, you communicate, you put your details in, and then somehow there's a wrong information giving, or not enough information giving, and then they say it leads to people delayed in payment. I want to understand, do you go back to the person and say, look here, you still need to get your ID document, or you still need to prove that you are unemployed, or whatever the case may be? Because usually when you go into a system, you cannot process further, you don't have all the details. Even if you make a loan application, they want to know your work address and all those things. I want to know, how are they going to do that to ensure that the right information is coming through to this site. And then, Chairperson, I want to understand, they say the multiple cell numbers, like during the election campaign, we as political parties, we did assist people to get the SRD grants because we use our own cell phone numbers, because a lot of people don't have these smartphones for the things. So I want to know, when the application went through, it was successful, but now they need to do the verification, the face recognitions and all those things. How are the people going to do that when they don't have these smartphones? And then the ID numbers that has already been used, because they say there's identity theft. What is the department doing about that? Because like that 2 boys were saying, a lot of ID numbers was already on the system where the people wasn't even aware that the ID numbers has been used, especially people from February, because they were using the different things to say this is how it's working. I want them to know, how is it affecting that person? Because that person maybe wants to go for NSFAS. He can't go for NSFAS because he's getting this SRD grant. How are the department going to ensure that this thing is been rectified? And then I also want to find out is, if you open a bank account to get your SRD grant and you have stolen someone's identity document, how is it possible for you to, with a stolen identity document, open a bank account? Because your photo is going to be on automatically. Maybe the number is just right, but I just need to know how they're going to do that thing. And then my question I want to ask is that those boys that was here, they had a gentleman, I think it's the lecturer or something that was with them. And while we were in that meeting, we were saying, look here, I can create a program. We do have a program already, or we can create a program to assist SASSA with this identity fraud and what. I want to ask SASSA, are they open for something like that? If this person can give you a program where you can minimize theft and fraud and all those things, will they take these people in? Chair, my very last question is that I want to know the same thing what Alexandre was asking. If a person is losing his cell phone and he wants to renew his cell phone number, I have a lady from the Eastern Cape that's been struggling for more than 6 months to change that. She's not coming right because the cell phone is missing. How are they going to do that when it comes to the last cell phone? And then the call centers that is not working, how are we doing it with that? And then my very last is that the 650 that you are talking about, between 24 and 25, how did you come about with that number? Because if you look at people not getting the SRD grants compared to the ones that are getting it, I just want to know how they came to that number to say these are the numbers that we found out that's busy defrauding the department. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Mare. I have a feeling that SASSA is going to earn them money to salaries today. Honorable Tagudin.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Chair, through you. Chair, I think Honorable Marie and Alexander have asked most of the questions that I also wanted to ask. I'm not going to go back on that. I just want to know what measures is SASSA putting in place at retail outlets where some of these beneficiaries are collecting with the stolen identities? How are they going to remedy that problem?
Thank you, Honorable Takudin. My questions are very easy to answer. The issues that were raised to confirm the findings of these two students, and SASSA has very clearly sort of put them in those matrix that they will be attended to. Some of them are already attended to, and so on and so forth. Are any of those things that need to be done costly? Are there any sort of financial implications that we need to know about in terms of we will do 1, 2, and 3? I mean, there were words here that were used, and that I wouldn't know what they're talking about. But I just am wanting to know if are we talking about huge financial implications from the side of SASSA to actually make sure that those things are done? Because to me, they all sound so important and so urgent and so helpful, as it were. I have a problem of people that call me and say that their numbers are being SIM swapped as they speak. I mean, they say my number has been SIM swapped and I can't access my grant and so on. Whose control is that within? Is that something that SASSA can avoid or block? Or I don't understand it all between SASSA and Home Affairs and everybody else and Vodacom and all the network providers and things like that. It's just something that is fascinating for me, that a person can say, my number has been SIM swapped, as a result, I can't get my grant. And I just wanted to know who, if I were to bark up a tree, which tree is this? And then there was a situation where I think it happened in the Eastern Cape, where a huge number of people and us as politicians were saying all sorts of things about this, when a huge number of people couldn't get their grants because there was a system, a SASSA system, I think it was an something, know your person, whatever, that was happening. Whatever happened to that? Did those people get their money? Is the system now sorted out? Do you know your customer now? And so on and so forth. And are people accessing the grant, which is my biggest concern as a public rep? Are those people now getting their grants? Were you able to know them? Were you able to identify them and see that they are the right people to get the money? Noma kanjani, wherever you are, whatever your payoff line is saying. But I am excited about the issue of the biometric. The department and SASSA, in fact, will know that if I don't ask any question, that is the only question I would ask. What happened to the biometric system? Because SASSA, in one of the annual reports to this committee or to South Africa, said biometrics would prevent corruption and fraud, but there was still no biometric. So just the hearing of the word biometric being mentioned today is such music to my ear. You could have just said that and go home, and I would be happy. So please make sure that that happens, because I promise you it is going to make such a difference. At the risk of doing your presentation again, I will hand over to the department. I don't want to join Mr. Honorable Munyai.
No, the network is what you are back on live. When you started, you were already on live. The system is fixed.
Thank you so much, Honorable Munyai. But I see the Honorable DM wants to say a few words, and may I just hand over to that side so that from there the department can go ahead and respond to the contributions and questions and comments. But it's over to you, Honorable DM.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. I see you excited about biometrics. We hope to make you more excited later on when we speak about artificial intelligence. That may also be part of the solution. Honorable Chair, I just want to make this comment because it is worrying me all the time and I'm keeping quiet. We know that the present system was a knee-jerk reaction to COVID harm. So I just want to say that we need a new system. And also, Honorable Chair, I'm very worried that the fiscus is providing substantial funding. And it is my view, I'm making a sweeping statement. It's not evidence-based. There are billions of that money that the fiscus makes available in our banks that actually belong to us. Further, that 25% of the funding provided by the fiscus do not reach the beneficiaries that it is intended to. It is money laundered. So I just want to make those sweeping statements while we are dealing now with the contribution of the Stellenbosch students. There is a bigger picture. I think the Minister has done well to address the issues surrounding the Stellenbosch students, but we have to dive deep. The Chief Whip of the ANC said we are not diving deep yet. We need to start diving deep. Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay. Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson and members. Can I allow the officials to respond on direct questions, then I'll come to summarize. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister, DM, Honorable Chairperson and members. I think there are a lot of questions are specific to the implementation of SASSA. Only one, which is what is the next step that we have? I think we will do it last. Can I give this opportunity to the acting CEO of SASSA to be baptized and ask the team to respond to the questions that have been asked? I think the chairperson mentioned it. That is a baptism of fire today. Over to you, Temba. Yeah.
We're ending the salaries today, as the Honorable Chair said. No, thanks very much, Honorable members, for a great insight into the work that we do. So some technical questions. Brenton, I think we can talk to the issue of the application, the grant application process, where we also dwell into whether the right people get the right grants when we make this application. And Mr. Makondo will then come and talk to the credible pen. This work that we've done, honorable members, and he will talk to that. And we are very glad even to share with the committee even later in terms of specific timelines for certain action that we will have been executing. Brenton, you can come through and then Mr. Makondo.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chairperson, Minister, Deputy Minister, members. Thanks, CEO. So there's quite a lot of questions. I'm going to start maybe with Honorable Mare's questions, which covers a lot, which deals a lot on the operations side, and I think Honorable Abrams asked one or two on the operational side, and then I'll leave to Mr. Makondo to cover the ICT related questions. It was also questioned, CEO, on the matters of fraud, but I'm not sure if you're going to deal with that, or do you want me to deal with that as well? You, okay. All right, so on the cash send, the way it normally works for us to verify someone with cash send is that we try and trace if there's a record of that person using that numbers, and we do that through the credit bureaus, very similar to the way banks and other lending institutions do that. And that's probably one of the biggest reasons why our cash send payments are extremely small, because our beneficiaries are not necessarily within that space. So it is a system that we're also looking at whether or not it's worthwhile continuing or not. I think our cash send is about 250,000 clients using the cash send option, versus the 9 million odd people that we pay on a monthly basis. So it's basically, that's how we try to prevent fraud in that space, is there needs to be a transaction record in your name against a particular cell phone number. The Honorable Chair mentioned the eKYC system, which I'll let Mr. Makondo speak to, which was down for a little bit. It should be up and running again end of this week. That system, once it's up and running again, we also will then look at linking it to the cash send so that we can have a biometric link. So when someone registers an ID against a cell phone number against their ID, we can then also capture a biometric link with that, which will, so that will also help us increase the number of people that could get through, use the cash send, because then you're not only looking at their past records against their names. On the issue around how do people know what they need to do? So generally when further action needs to be taken on an application, we would then send you an SMS. So for example, if you submitted bank account details and that fails the bank account verification process that we do, then you'll get an SMS back saying your bank details failed bank account verification, upload new bank details, or amend the current details that you've provided. Similarly with the referred cases, the fraud cases that we've been identified, you'd get a message saying your grant has been put onto referred status. You need to do the eKYC. But in addition to that, the client can log into the portal, and on the portal, they will then also see the status of their grant. It will tell them either missing bank details or bank details failed verification. I'm using that because it's the common one. And the referred status, that's the biggest one. So when you log into the portal, the client will also then be able to see the current status of the grant application in case they didn't get the SMS. Honorable Chair, you mentioned sorry, I'm jumping the gun. I'll come back to the, you mentioned something about cards, smartphones, SIM swaps. Sorry, so at the moment, Honorable Maria, as well, for you to do the eKYC system, you do need a phone with a camera. And so in the same way, you know, that people, when they applied for the grant, they had to get some assistance by someone that had a phone if they didn't have a phone. At present, you still need that, but we are looking at fast tracking the rollout of kiosks in all of our local offices. This year, we've put aside considerable funding for that to ensure that at least every local office has one kiosk. We hope to complete the procurement by the end of the financial year. And within the first quarter, and see, I hope I'm not putting us on the spot, but by the first quarter, we should have it implemented, which means if you don't have a smartphone, you can then go into a SASSA office and use the kiosk at the SASSA office to either apply for a grant or do the eKYC. And we hope to have expanded functionality on that as well, so that if you can't do the facial eKYC, you can do the fingerprint eKYC, which will work a lot better for people that don't have smart IDs. Noting we did have some procurement challenges, and some regions may not have the equipment by the end of the financial year, but most regions should have it, and hopefully by the first quarter of this new financial year, we should have it fully installed and rolled out. Try to look at the CEO to say, I hope I'm not putting us too much on the spot, but that's our plans and objectives, to get that in place as quickly as possible, because it will be a big relief to our SRD client base. A lot of bank account fraud is possible. A lot of people do. So a lot of banks, especially the digital banks, don't do a proper FICA process often. And sometimes when someone's identities are stolen and you've got enough information about that person, you can then create a fraudulent bank account on behalf of that person. And I think when the SASSA story broke with the two boys, it was also some of the banks who had weaknesses in that space were also quite a lot in the media. I'm not going to go into the details of which banks those are, but I've noticed in the last 6 months or so, not six, probably 3 or 4 months or so, many of these digital banks have now introduced much stronger biometric functionality into their especially when you open a grant online. So a lot of them have become a lot secure. A lot of them that also operate in our communities have also strengthened the process, because that's another way, because a lot of banks use, especially banks that want to promote financial inclusion amongst areas that have not been serviced by other banks. They get agents, community agents to go out into communities and to sign people up for bank accounts. And we've also seen quite a lot of fraud coming through in that space where people will just open up fake bank accounts. So that I'm referring to one specific bank. They've also had to just strengthen the way they managed the community agents when they go out, to make sure that those bank accounts are properly featured in the back end before they are opened by that particular bank. In terms of how did we get the numbers of the people that we've identified as fraud, and linking to Honorable Abrams's question around the court cases that was opened, I think it was it not? One of the members asked a question about the court cases that were open. So what we have various risk algorithms running in the background that looks at the behavior, tries to identify, does this look like computer behavior or normal person behavior, or if the behavior is strange in any way, it will then identify that particular application as being fraudulent. And you'd then be put onto what we call that referred list. But we wouldn't know 100% if it is fraudulent until the person comes forward and does the eKYC and confirms their identity. And after a period of time, one would then assume that if you didn't come forward and confirm your identity, then it's possibly fraudulent, because if you wanted the grant, you would have come forward, or you would have taken some measure to try and access your grant. So the grant gets suspended, or the payments get suspended, the person would have to do an eKYC. The cases in Limpopo that was opened was based on some work done by community activists in Limpopo. So those are people that were actually caught committing the identity theft. But we still think those are still lower level, I don't want to call them criminals, but lower level. We believe there's a bigger syndicate operating out there. And these were just people that we found that were being used to commit the identity theft. So for example, if I may give an example, we found in one particular instance, a young boy, a 16-year-old boy with a book, a black book. And each page had a social grant number, application number, ID number of someone, and a SIM card pasted on the page, with bank account, with the PIN number of the bank account, etc. So we believe someone has harvested a lot of this information and just been selling it on to other people who then who go and use this to get some money from that. And so we're hoping the police will, really just dig a little bit deeper into these cases so they can find out the bigger culprits. So yes, the numbers are small, but those are actual people that have been caught committing, or at least being attempting to commit this particular fraud of identity theft. With the apologies, there's a lot of questions.
I think it's fine, Mr. Brenton. I think it's fine. We can close up with other questions. Mr. Makondo.
Thank you, CEO. Through you, Chairperson, I think on the issue of timelines, I didn't necessarily go to the detailed plan, but if you look at the detailed plan, there are some activities that we've already put in place and we've indicated as such, right? And some of them are, we indicated actually the financial year that we're going to implement, most especially the biometrics. I think there was a question around access control and strict access control. So I'm going to separate the two. We have got sort of an access control process in terms of accessing the system, right? And the SOC services that we're talking about, Security Operations Center, is also going to monitor what happens as people transact. But there's also access control maybe from the report side in terms of accessing where the physical servers currently are hosted, where we've got the biometrics that before you go in there, there's a biometrics that need to be captured and be validated and be verified. On the issue of SASSA mimicking website, I think we have already indicated that no, we're definitely going to have takedown services. The services that will help us monitor as and when this domain crop up into the cyberspace, right? Maybe this also link it to your question of, are there financial implications to some of this mitigation? Definitely. Because for example, such services, need to get somebody to constantly monitor as and when website comes up and go through some process, whether it's legal process, to bring down that particular website, right? Obvious, also on the issue of a Security Operations Center, we have got institutions that actually have got these professional services, highly qualified cybersecurity experts who will continuously monitor and through AI, that will also send a notification and we can respond to that. I think there was an issue of how will you ensure that the right person details? I think there was an issue spoken by the EM, Mr. Van Vrede, that obvious biometrics is really going to help us in terms of verification and validating to make sure that the right person actually is captured within our system. Can SASSA accept to assistant systems? I think, as I said, there's also governance process that already in place. As SASSA, when we want to engage on a particular activity, you go out on a normal bid process, and then everybody, because it's an open bid process, everybody is allowed to come up with a proposal, and such proposal get assessed, and then from there you can actually identify the correct system. Some mitigation, saving financial implications, I think I've already responded to that, Chair. There was also a question around the SIM swap. Obviously, that these big companies, Vodacom, MTN, they are the ones where normally they do the SIM swap because you have to go to them. And there was also an issues discussed in terms of, obviously, I think as government, we might need to make sure that we've got stricter processes in place to ensure that, no, you cannot just come and SIM swap and use that information for wrong reasons. I think in closing, Chair, let me say that we will continue improving our mitigations controls, right? And I think one honorable member indicated that, no, it is not a static environment. It's a very agile environment. It keeps changing, and we definitely need to ensure that, no, we'll continue to put in place controls to try to mitigate these threats. Thank you.
Chairperson, let me thank you very much for my colleagues for responding. There's a question that was raised on the ICT steering committee. I think it is important just to illustrate that there's a government framework on the ICT, on the composition of the ICT steering committee from DPSA, which is it's explicit in terms of the multiple skills that must be part of the committee, not necessarily the ICT specialist alone. Yet you will have the ICTs as part of the secretariat and as the end users being part of the committee. But it always prefer that when we have a ICT steering committee, must have an independent person who come either from strategy, who come from business, because remember, the ICT is actually supporting the business. That's why you will have a composition of different set of skill. And also at the level of executive in SASSA, as you are aware, Honorable Chair, we have provinces that many people are acting. So from time to time, we request the executive in head office to assist us in different provinces. Like in this case where we have requested the current CIO to assist us in Mpumalanga because we don't need a lot of people acting, but we really need to tap into the existing executive that can assist us in great deal. But we are very comfortable because the team of management that we have in SASSA are highly competent. They've got greater skills, even the one that is presenting in terms of from ICT environment, they really have the right skills to assist us. And also let's confirm that because we've got a very robust risk assurance and internal audit in the organization that it assists us from time to time to look at auction plans, and also the risk identification. So we can confirm with the honorable members that there's no corruption and fraud caused by officials of SASSA in this respect in particular, after we've looked at all the risk identified. So we should put it clear that the system is mainly a cyber attack that come from the external forces as opposed to the internal. So there isn't really a need to do consequence management internally because this is just an attack that come from the outside. And we do confirm, Chair, that as we said that because from time to time, quarterly, we will be monitoring our audit action plan, we'll be monitoring our risk mitigation process so that we keep reporting and we keep doing the check on the work that we do. And yeah, I think in a nutshell, that's what I can report, Chair. And I'm happy. If you are excited, I'm happy, Chair. I'm also excited, especially when we talk about issues of biometric, because we have extensively discussed with our officials as well, because we also had a pushback at some point with labor, but we had to convince them that this is for the benefit of the country, is for the benefit of yourself as well. That's why there's been meeting of mind where we are now, and we are ready to explore that. And unfortunately, we're discussing this matter after having coming from a strategic dialogue, which will answer your question in terms of whether there's financial cost. Because as we are analyzing all this, because we've developed our new strategic plans and our annual performance plans, so we'll be able to see how far do we go in terms of budgeting some of the key things that we need to budget outside out of this report that we have received. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Can I ask Alfred to next step? TR.
Thanks, DG. Yeah, with regard to the timelines of concluding the TOR, I need to be careful because we have got other competing targets that we need to get them done before the end of this financial year. But we're targeting end of March to have a draft to present to the minister. Thank you.
Thank you very much. What I should say is that I think as a department, this is a huge work that we need to do. There is a lot of work that we are supposed to deal with, and I think you will be aware, and you might have heard as they respond in view of the system. What we are hearing from outside before I ask the minister for the conclusion is that this issue of the cyber attack, they are saying is growing worldwide. You develop this system today, within the next 3 months, there's another one. It comes throughout. The banks are experiencing it. The weather services, I think you might have heard last week about the weather services, Bureau for Weather Services in the country. Is something that as a department, we need to make sure, and we thank you very much for that, so that we're able to be on our toes to look at what is that we want to do to make sure that we prevent any fraud, any cyber attack. And it's something that as a department, and I think we've been discussing with the minister most of the time, that we need to be alert and make sure. And we are showing you that this is something that we're dealing with on a daily basis. And I think going forth as a department, we'll make sure that we become the best as we are in Africa, and even compared amongst the developed countries in terms of our social assistance program in the country. And I think we will continually brief the committee on that and work together. Over to you, Minister, for your conclusion.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson, DM, ADG, Acting CEO, the executive of SASSA and DSD. Indeed, Honorable Chair, we are not coming out as excited. For one reason, as leadership, we should have seen this coming. So that's the reason that we cannot say we are excited. Because in the first place, the question arises, why is that you could not see it coming? If you are able to narrate the story of cyber attack and everything else. So you should have, out of your own wisdom and knowledge, saw this coming and develop a strategy. So that's why we are not excited to have found something that is obvious. And again, Honorable Chair, our internal controls should have been able to indicate. And in this case, they did not give us the best. I guess we must accept that and take that responsibility to say, now that we have gone through this, through the Stellenbosch boys, which were forever appreciating that they had to nudge us to go to our systems and look at them on the damage that they are making and the loopholes that they've created for everything else that we can think of, especially corruption and stealing from the poor. This is why I want to appreciate you, Chair, and the honorable members, that you, from the first go, when I made this request, you allowed me without knowing what else I was going to do, because you could have said, what else are you going to do when your internal controls could not tell you the story? And if you agree that they did not tell you the story, what are you doing on the employment of consequence management? You didn't, knowing very well that you could have done that, but you allowed us to go and embark on this process, which was not so short a process, which was not so a cheap process. However, we had to embark on it. We really appreciate this opportunity. And once again, we are committing, myself and DM, that if you need, we will submit a quarterly report on this matter as a standalone, so that you are forever able to see whether we are making any progress, and be able, when you think it's important, to come and appear before you and the committee. I don't think we should have a problem with that, because this is the work that we're expected to do anyway. I also must appreciate the glitches that we sometimes went through. Remember, we had to, in 30 days, come and present. However, we couldn't present in the totality of the report because of some technical glitches that we did not foresee. So all in all, Chair, I really want to thank you and the members, myself and DM. We are still committed in making sure that SASSA becomes a democratic baby. SASSA is one baby that was established during the time of our democracy. And we have a responsibility to take it back to its former glory. Remember, everyone else in the country, doesn't matter whether in the village, in township, in the squatter camp, everyone else would know about SASSA. And knowledge about SASSA was a very, very good knowledge, because it was known to be this vehicle that seeks to eradicate poverty, especially touching the lives of the poor. So we are hard at work, Chair, to make sure that we clean SASSA, we deal with the perceptions, we also deal with the problems that are internal. Rest assured, Chair, whenever there's wrongdoing done and identified, consequence management will be employed. We have no excuse, Chair. Not now, not tomorrow. Our people have gone through a lot because of some of our non-commitment, not providing strategic, I must say strategic, because general leadership is general leadership, but strategic leadership is important at the level we are. So that's why I must really take that responsibility and then say thank you so, so much for the opportunity. We'll submit on a quarterly basis. If you think we are not making any inroads, we'll come to present further. The timelines are just formalities, but this should be concluded like yesterday. But the fact is, sometimes we had to embark on other things, to look for a service provider, all the governance issues that takes a little bit longer. And indeed, we don't want to come in once again before this committee for wrong reason, where we might have underspent, deviations that are not explainable, and so on. So we'll stick to all the governance framework that talks to this, and this is what we have done. Thank you so much, honorable members. Your questions are very sharp, but they're giving us a total picture of the work that still needs to be done. But also inject to us, if there was any, the agility that needs to be in the officials in resolving the problems of the people. Our people can't forever wait for us. We should sometimes be ahead of them in resolving their problem. Thank you so much. We quite appreciate this opportunity that out of your busy schedule of the year, you gave us just plus minus 6 months to present this report before you. Thank you so much, DM. We are quite committed in doing everything that makes this committee happy. And we are also happy to see committee frowning at us. That's the name of the job. Can't be forever happy, even when we are not performing. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson.
Thanks, Honorable Minister. I can't even add any more words to that without spoiling the sentiment that is coming through there in your remarks. I now have to. Yes, Honorable Abrams.
Thank you for acknowledging me, Chairperson. Chairperson, Most of my questions have not been answered, and I don't know if it's a case of me speaking too quickly when I ask my questions, or if I should take the non-answer as an answer in itself. And I've at least two main questions or three questions that I feel like I cannot leave this committee without getting some indication on, because then I have gone through the report and I've got no clarity on these issues. So I'll take guidance from you, Chairperson, what you would like me to do with my questions, because I mean, I've submitted in writing. It comes 2, 3, 4 days afterwards. I don't get it immediately when I need it. And for example, one of the main questions I've asked is the system secure? Can South Africa feel secure with the system? I don't think I've heard an answer to that. And the same with why is there a chief information officer on SASSA's website who is not present with us during an ICT crisis? So Chairperson, I'll take direction to you, but most of my questions have not been answered. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Honorable Abrams. I actually thought they were answered. I will put that to you in that we were assured even in the report, and guys, you must, sorry for saying guys, you must please just come to my rescue here, because I thought that the question was answered in that in the report, it says that mitigations have been done, and with the biometric, it's going to be done in this year, and that the exact date was I don't know that it was possible to actually give the 3rd of May, whatever. And with the what was the second one? The CIO, I think when the CEO was saying that the CIO is helping in Mpumalanga, and he himself as the AECO is part of the committee, and the fact that there needs to be everybody in that committee that represents the SASSA and so on and so forth. I was comfortable. In fact, if there was a question that I was asking myself, if it had been answered and I didn't listen properly, it was to do with the impact, a part of the question of the Reverend. But as far as the Honorable Abrams's questions are concerned, I thought they were responded to, but please respond because now the Honorable Member is even doubting her, asking of the question whether they were, heard and understood and so on and so forth. So please let us make sure that each member of this committee is satisfied with the way that the questions were answered. Thank you. The Honorable Nyai wants to say something.
Chair, I think there was also issues of the system, that any system is not static. Today you have GPT, it has so big stock in a stock exchange. Tomorrow you have a DeepSeek that collapse all that particular stock. So I'm saying that question of the safety, while the measures and mitigation has been put forward, the evolutions of technology, be it software and hardware, it's a continuous process that need to be put there to protect the system. And I think the emphasis of monitoring, continuous monitoring of the system, whether you use the Network Security Center, whether you have a clear cyber range that does that, but I'm not proposing new things, because what they propose, I think it's sufficient for my understanding. And therefore I agree with you to say that the question has been answered.
Thanks, Honorable Myai, but I do think that it has to come out of the department and SASSA to respond to the questions as the Honorable Member is asking. Thanks.
Okay. CEO, Acting CEO.
No, thank you, Honorable Chair. Indeed, honorable members, I did cover the responses adequately in my view. I did emphasize the point that we have deployed the CIO. We do have an acting CIO who's highly competent in terms of the requisite for the job. I did indicate that, and I also, Chair, emphasized that if the ICT Steering Committee, because I remember Honorable Alexander asked the question of who composed the ICT Steering Committee. I did indicate that, guided by the ICT governance framework by DPSA, to say that you must have a multiple skill set in the ICT committee, some of them including those coming from the business, the strategy, and we have a full composition of all that in the ICT steering committee. That's what I indicated. And yes, we did confirm that the system is secured because there are some of the work that has been done. We did report that we have reconfigured the web server configuration, for example, after we've received the report, and we also did a continuous vulnerability test that has already been done. Of course, we know that there's quite a lot of work that we need to do, and we did indicate that we have a risk mitigation and we've got an audit plan that on a quarterly basis, we'll keep ourselves on the check. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, because as I said, we cannot have a situation where a member goes away thinking that their questions were not sufficiently responded to. I have other news now that is going to affect our agenda, as it were. There is a meeting that is supposed to have started at 1 o'clock in this venue. Now, we know that we didn't start when we needed to start, and the agenda item that is outstanding is the response by the DSD on the High Court judgment. So, honorable members, I know that this is an important thing, but I also know that we share this venue with other committees, and we are literally needing to adjourn. So may I ask that we have this item? I'm very sorry, Advocate, because I know you may have come for this particular issue, but we may have to take this agenda item to our next meeting and maybe make it the first agenda item to be presented, if that will make sure that it is done on the day, so that we can vacate this venue and not have to be, adversely affecting other committees that had booked this meeting.
I agree with the view that it will be the first item on the next agenda, because South Africa need to know our response and our posture to these critical matters of the High Court. Thank you.
I take that as the agreement from the part
I
of
agree.
the committee. Is the committee in agreement with this? Thank you so much for that. And just to say thank you again to the department, to the senior managers of the entities, and to everyone who has come here and made this meeting happen in the way that it has. And we are also thankful to all our guests that are among us that were attending this meeting. I would like to very quickly and apologetically, that is, declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Chairperson, can I just ask a question? Anyone going to the airport? I'm looking for a lift.